Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you can hear the music.
There we go.
Because it's time for another round of Mind Your Puckin' Business with your host, Jeffrey Krensman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks. Good times here in the studio. Now we got the goal sign.
Yeah.
We're on fire. From the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey, this is the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast, brought to you by our good friends at the Bamboozle Project and DraftKings. We thank them both for their sponsorship. If you are looking for any last-minute holiday gifts, with Christmas a little bit less than 2 weeks around the corner, you should be going to thebamboozleproject.com, filling your cart with all the things you would want or your friends or your family would want, and use promo code MYPB. Save yourself 20% off all gear across the Bamboozle Project website. We thank them for their sponsorship as always. This is episode number 135, Ciento Treinta y Cinco. I have no idea if I said that right. That sounds
good.
I'm going to say it again because I don't think I said it right.
Mm-hmm.
Ciento Treinta y Cinco. There is no way that is right. But on the English version, that is episode 135. You can send your questions at any time throughout the show to mypbshow@gmail.com or during the week for that matter. You can DM us on our Instagram platform, which is incredibly active the last couple months. We're on there almost every hour answering stuff. You can get us there. Or if you're following on the show today, and I know some of you are already waiting for us to be live to ask some questions, you can put them in the comment section. We will try and take them as we go along. You can listen to the show on Spotify or iTunes, or you can watch the video feed on YouTube. And lastly, I should mention that if you are going to any events this holiday season, use promo code MYPB on the SeatGeek platform. Save yourself $20 on your order of whatever you're getting, whether that's hockey tickets, basketball tickets, concert tickets, Rockefeller Center Christmas Spectacular tickets, some event in Phoenix, Arizona, or LA, wherever there is a SeatGeek, their promo code is going to save you money. So use that on us. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. So we should actually start and apologize in a sense. We were not on last week. COVID kind of decided to live in our studio and get a couple of us, including myself. We still have our executive producer, B-Rock, who is out with COVID this week. Yes. Although rumor was he was back and now he's back out. I believe that's...
You just got to make sure.
Yeah. No, it's cool.
Go through protocol.
I'm cool. Hey, Undefeated Media is a very strict
safe
place
and
to work.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see there's Lysol all over this building. When the world was deprived of Lysol in 2020, this apparently was the spot to find it. Was the Undefeated Media headquarters. So we appreciate the flexibility last week. We did not have a show. I apologize for that. We talked about possibly doing a remote show, but I just like the stuff. It's just not the same, and we don't want to just put out a worse product. I won't even say a bad product because maybe we're always a bad product, but I don't want.
What are you talking about? Why are you so negative today?
I don't know. Maybe it's the holiday music that you guys had blasting. In the
we got
studio.
People saying this is the highlight of the Tuesdays.
It is. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and we will try to be your highlight for your next 35 minutes. So, the last time we were on 2 weeks ago, and we happened to be on the day after the Buffalo Sabres loss, and that was really like, some people were going crazy. How did you? I mean, it was a 5-1 game, but if you remember that game specifically, it was 2-1 with an empty netter late, and then a couple other nonsense there at the end. So we were on, and we said, look, hockey teams do not go 82-0. It just doesn't happen that way. You look at the Bruins last year, had the best regular season ever, and they still lost 10 games, I believe. So since we were on, they went back and they played Detroit at home, and they played really well that game. They were the better team that night. They won against Detroit, and you kind of expected them that night to respond after a loss being at home. And this is going to be a theme we're going to get to in a minute. So, or a pattern, I should say. They then went out to Nashville and were down early. They were down 2-0 in a game on a Saturday afternoon in Nashville. Yet you had to fly home after the game and play the next day. You could see where a hockey team in that situation just doesn't really show up the rest of the game. And the Rangers battled back to go win the game, which was impressive. A 4-3 win on the road in Nashville. They came home the next day to welcome their old coach, David Quinn, and the league worst San Jose Sharks. And the Rangers were up in that game 6-3 in the third period and managed to hold on to win 6-5. Now, I don't get into moral victory. Like I
Mhm.
don't care if my team wins 6-5 or 1-0 or 6-0. All I care at the end of the day is that game is collecting 2 points for your standings. And the Rangers still did that. So you can sit there and say, I didn't like that. I didn't like how it was close for San Jose. But remember, the Rangers were on a back-to-back. And San Jose plays, if you watch them, especially Anthony Duclair, who Ranger fans will remember because he was a Ranger product years ago,
Mhm.
they just play so loose. It's like, you know what? They know they're terrible. Who cares, right? They'll just go up and do their play however they want. So you like to see that. The Rangers, after that, go to Ottawa on Tuesday. And if I could ask a question and
Mhm.
people are listening, maybe they can say, and you could say, which game was worse this year? The Nashville loss at home in October or the Ottawa game that they lost 6-2 last week? The Ottawa game was so boring. I will say this. I was home Tuesday because I had COVID, as we talked about. And when you're sitting at home all day and you have a Ranger game coming on at 7 at night, it's kind of all you're looking forward to, right? You're like, all right, let me just get through the day, whatever. I'll do what I got to
Mhm.
do. At least I have a hockey game on tonight to watch. And it was just completely unexciting. I mean, there was nothing about that game that I was enjoyed.
Mhm.
And so later on in the week, on Saturday, the Rangers, their next game, they kind of had a break, which I thought they needed after the Ottawa debacle. The Rangers then traveled down for a Metro Division matchup on Saturday night down in DC. Now, my wife and kids, we decided to go down for the game. Road trip. So as you know, because there are clips of it, we went to Philadelphia 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And I introduced my children to Philadelphia fans. Now I promised them, because this was their question, was, Dad, Philadelphia fans were really bad. What are Washington fans going to be as bad? And I said, absolutely not. You're going to see a complete polar opposite. And we'll get into that in a minute. But so we drive down Saturday. It was a 7:00 game.
Mhm.
And you expect that when you have the Rangers on the road in a city, and it's going to happen this weekend because they're in Boston at 7:00 on Saturday night. But when you have the Rangers in another city that's kind of drivable, holiday season, there's going to be a lot of Ranger fans there, and there were. So we go to this game. We had really, really good seats. Now, I don't know if you know this because you're learning a lot of hockey through being on the show.
Mhm.
But when you go to a game,
Yeah.
you almost always want to be on the side of the arena where your team that you like shoots first and third period, right? Because
Yeah.
one team, so we ended up being on that side of the arena. We were maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 rows off the ice, great seats, holiday atmosphere.
Mhm.
Here we go.
Mhm.
The game starts,
Yeah.
and the first shift, before I won't even get to the goal.
Mhm.
The first shift, the Rangers, I believe, had 2 or 3 opportunities. Now, this is on the far end of the ice from where we were sitting.
Mhm.
Had 2 or 3 opportunities to get the puck out, and I believe the Rangers started with their top line, if I'm not mistaken. So as long as they had some weird stuff out, they couldn't get the puck out. And what happens when you play with danger, Dougie? What happens?
You get burned.
You get burned. And the Capitals are up 1-0 instantly. The rest of the first period ends, it's 1-0. The Rangers have plenty of chances in front of us, but instead of shooting the puck on Ryan Lindgren's brother, who happens to be their goalie, Charlie Lindgren,
Mhm.
instead of shooting the puck, they keep trying to make all these extra passes, including this pass that Zibanejad made to Kreider, which was a simple tap and goal that he would make 99 out of 100 times. But because we drove 4 hours, you're not going to make it that night for us. So the Rangers go on to lose that game in Washington 4-0. There was nothing to take out of the Washington game positive. It was a
Yeah.
cool experience. This is kind of our new family thing. Like, we like to go to road games and kind of introduce the kids to, it's not always going to be the goal song you like, and the power play, the fans get into it when you're on the penalty kill. But there was just really nothing in that game to be positive. And I will actually say this: I don't like leaving games early, and we did not leave this game early because it was a Saturday night.
Mhm.
All we had to do was walk 3 blocks back to the Marriott we were staying at. So I said, we'll just might as well sit there and watch the third period. Maybe something will happen positive we could take from it. And there was nothing as the Rangers get shut out. I want to say something really bizarre about this.
Oh yeah.
I am the eternal pessimist. We know
Yeah.
this with the New York Rangers. Okay.
Mhm.
So we are in the hotel room. Jess and I, we took the kids. The kids wanted to see like the White House and all these things. Okay. So we, did the touristy thing by walking, while like my kids are drinking their Starbucks and all that stuff. So we go back to the hotel for like 10 minutes before the game to get our jerseys.
Mhm.
Right. Now I had to plug my phone in because my phone had like literally no battery. So I'm sitting there, on the other side of the room, and I'm playing around on DraftKings because I'm bored, waiting to leave because the arena doesn't open. And I look at a bet at the game, the Rangers, and I said to myself, I swear, but let me finish the story though before you think that I'm lying. I said to myself that with my luck, the Rangers will get shut out.
Mm-hmm.
So I look and I see what are the odds that the Rangers score 0 goals, and it was plus 1,100. So I was thinking I was going to bet on it just to cover, right? If the game is the worst possible situation, which is what ended up happening, at least I make some money on it.
Yeah.
So I go and I put in my cart, $10 or $5. I wasn't betting a lot or wasn't going to, but you can't bet in the District of Columbia. It's one of those things I couldn't do it anyway.
Wow.
So I was going to protect myself in a worst case scenario with insurance. I couldn't do it, and it would have hit. Really annoying.
God. Well, how much would you have hit?
I wouldn't. I mean, it would have been $100, but you know what? It would have made it a little bit better, right? I mean, it would have been like free money for my kids to spend at Starbucks in the hotel lobby, which seems to be the thing to do now. So the other thing I'll say about the arena there, which was strange, I've never seen this. There is a rule at the Capital One Arena, and I like that arena. I've been to a lot of arenas around the league. I'm very lucky. I don't think the Capital One Arena is the most fancy of them all, but it's a nice arena. They have a weird policy. You cannot bring in, if you're a woman, you can't bring in a purse.
Really?
They make you put them in a locker. You have to go around the 3 street blocks to put it in a locker.
Jesus.
Yeah. So didn't like that. So the Rangers come home on Sunday night, the night after. Now, what did I say a minute ago? It's a theme. Can we put up the comment just so we can see the comment section on the top? Because I feel like I don't want to leave people out here. So the Rangers come home Sunday night, and I said that after the Buffalo game that you kind of expected the Rangers would respond against Detroit, and they did. And you kind of expected on Saturday night they would respond. And Jonathan Quick plays in goal, gets the start. This was predetermined. They went into the weekend, and they said, look, Igor's going to start Saturday night in D.C., Jonathan Quick is going to start Sunday in at the Garden against his old team. And the Rangers showed up on Sunday night. Watching that game, and I will admit I didn't see the whole game because I had to go to my a soccer game with one of my kids. Watching that game, they had the enthusiasm and the sort of play that they were completely lacking that they didn't bring to DC with them the night before, which they like a lot better. Thanks for the background music there. I like that. That was
We're trying to check just technical difficulty.
All right.
All right.
Are we good?
We're
Okay,
good. You're good.
Cool. So you like to see that on Sunday night. Now, they respond with a 4-1 win. Zibanejad scores. Cooley scores. They get some Jimmy Vesey with a big goal. Jonathan Quick plays outstanding again. I think his record now is 8-0-1, if I'm not mistaken. He has not lost yet. So just a really good win for them. And after seeing what they did on Tuesday in Ottawa and Saturday in D.C., that was exactly the sort of response you would like. And they will tonight have an original 6 matchup at the Garden where they take on the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then back-to-back time, Friday night home against Anaheim. Saturday night would be a really good game to be at up in Boston on a Saturday night. That would be a wild crowd up there. So if anybody that's listening is taking the road trip up there or maybe even lives up there, have a blast with that. That's a great game to be at, another original 6 matchup. So we decided yesterday. Are we good on the technical front?
We're good.
Okay. All right. I'm just making sure. So we decided yesterday to open up Q&A. I don't know. Did you see this, Dougie Sticks?
Yes, I did see this.
Okay. So we decided to open up Q&A. Occasionally, from time to time, we like to do this, and a couple of you had asked for it, especially over the weekend. So we decided to open up Q&A, and really we had a large amount of questions, but thankfully they're all kind of themed around 2 or 3 topics, so we can kind of take them in order and kind of get most of the questions answered by going in order. So we're good here before we go on?
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay, cool. All right, so the first question that we got, the most popular question that we got in terms of opening up Q&A to people is, who is this whole Igor versus Jonathan Quick dilemma? Who is the number 1 goalie? Should Jonathan Quick be the number 1 starter going forward and all that? Okay. Here's where I'm going to get a little bit. I don't want to say I'm a little bit. I'm not annoyed at the question at all. I'm not annoyed, but I want to just throw some stats out here. Last year, we sat here in the beginning of December, and the Rangers were on an awful run. Jacob Trouba had to throw his helmet after getting ejected from a game to kind of wake the team up.
Mhm.
And last year, through 19 games at this point, Igor Shesterkin had a .910 save percentage. Okay, through 19 games. This year, he has played 16 games so far. He has a .908. So the differential is obviously very minimal.
Mhm.
So we're not any real different than last year. And we know where Igor ended up last year.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, I have no problem on a night like tonight, because this was another thing that we put up. We put up a poll. Rangers are playing the Leafs. Who should start in goal? As of now, I haven't heard. So I don't know if someone wants to put in the comments if the Rangers came out and said who's playing in the comment or starting tonight, they can go ahead and do it. I don't have a problem if it's Jonathan Quick tonight, because you're going with the hot hand. You're playing with the hot hand. However, the future of this team is Igor Shesterkin. It's not Jonathan Quick, who you signed for 1 year. What you have gotten from Jonathan Quick, if anybody tells you that what they have gotten, what the Rangers have gotten from Jonathan Quick, they knew they were going to get, they're just flat out lying. I was optimistic. If you go back to a clip that we put up in July, I was optimistic. I liked the Jonathan Quick signing, but I didn't think he was going to go 8-0-1. Of course not. I said on that show in July, if he goes 500 as a backup, you take it, because you have Igor Shesterkin to win you the other games. The future long-term of this team is Igor Shesterkin. Let's not get out of our head here, out of our mind. If you picture yourself, here's what you need to do if you're a Ranger fan. Close your eyes for a minute. Like, literally sit there, close your eyes. You with me? We're going to do an experiment. Close your eyes. We're going to go in a time machine, and it's April 20th. It's game 1 at the Garden of the Eastern Conference quarterfinals, okay? It's game 1.
Who are we playing?
And I don't even know. And Joe Tollison, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, is introducing the starting lineup. And he says, in goal for the Rangers, who's it going to be, Doug? Who's in your vision in your head?
I think that would be Igor.
It has to be. Because if it's not Igor, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Jonathan Quick is not going to continue and be the first undefeated backup to go 20-0-2. It's just not going to happen. It's been phenomenal. We love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
And he seems like a great guy in the locker room. The team takes to him. But this team's number 1 goalie is Igor Shesterkin.
So, I mean, is he playing that bad that people think
he's not playing that bad? He's not playing Igor. He's not playing as well as Igor has. But if you look at the stats, it's not as different this year than last year. And we know that Igor heated up. Look, I want my goalie to be good all the time. But if you told me I had a choice, do I want Igor Shesterkin playing out of his mind on December 10th and December 11th? Or do I want him playing out of his mind in April and May? I need him in April and May to be playing out of his mind then, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, look, you should be happy you have 2 good goalies. You could be the Devils and have no good goalies.
And that's a great point. Why don't we pull up the comment there that just came up, the last one, which is that, and I appreciate you listening. Igor is our guy, our starter, our future. Quick is nice to have. That is absolutely it right there, right? Igor is our guy. He's our starter. He's also probably about 14 years younger than Jonathan Quick, so he is our future. Quick has been unbelievable to have. It's been the greatest luxury in the world. Now, to your point, as you throw some, and you're lucky our executive producer isn't here today, or he'd be annoyed if he wasn't out with COVID, is that the Devils don't have 1 goalie, and we have 2. This is a great problem to have, right? The fact that we can sit here and say, we have 2 good goalies. Let's sit here and argue over who should start because they're both playing really well or they're both good. Teams would love that problem. Yeah, look at Edmonton. Look at the Devils. I could go on and name these teams or Toronto, who they play tonight. Like, that just goes on and on. It's almost like, and someone mentioned this in the Q&A yesterday, that it's almost like Boston last year with Swayman and I'm drawing a blank here, Lundmark or whatever his name is, Ullmark. You know, like you're lucky you have 1A and 1B, but Igor is 1A and Jonathan Quick is 1B. And if Jonathan Quick ever goes from 1B to 1A, I'm not sure that that's a good sign. Something's wrong. Something didn't go according to plan. So I don't mind tonight because this was a question. You know, if you want to go with Jonathan Quick tonight, if it were me, I probably would go with Igor. But if you want to say you want to play the hot hand because Quick's playing out of his mind and Toronto's also coming off a back-to-back, they lost in overtime last night to the Islanders, I'm fine with that. But close your eyes in the future. When you see yourself, or if you want to really envision yourself like going really far in June and it's the Stanley Cup Finals, God willing, Igor Shesterkin's your goalie.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, like he's your goalie.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure. I just don't get it. But okay. So let's talk about some other questions, and then I want to get to let me take a break before we get to the questions. Can we talk about Blake Wheeler for a minute again? I want to say something about what I did Saturday night at the game.
Yeah.
So Blake Wheeler now has played in 26 games he has a grand total of 6 points, 2 goals, and 4 assists.
Yeah.
Okay. On Saturday night, as I said, we were at the game in Washington, and the third period, you're down 4-0. The Rangers are really not doing anything. You're almost sitting there, and like with me with ADD, you're like, you're paying attention, but you're really not because the game sucks. So I said to myself, we're not leaving early because, again, we only had to walk to the hotel. My kids were just going to go back to the room and sit on their iPads. They didn't want to do that. We're at the game. We're in good seats. We're watching. We're staying. We don't have to fight traffic. We literally have to walk. Okay. So I said to myself, I'm going to do an experiment.
Yeah.
I'm going to, on the shifts that Blake Wheeler comes out, and now he didn't play a lot in the third period, so I will say that. But the shifts he comes out, I'm going to pretend I'm a camera guy, and he's my guy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to watch him, and I want to see what Blake Wheeler does. Just watch him.
Yeah.
Because I did it a little bit in the first and second period, but the game was good at that point. So when does this experiment end? The Blake Wheeler experiment.
So wait, you were watching him?
I'm watching him, and there's a couple plays, like particularly in the first period in the net we were coming into.
Yeah.
The puck he's on the ice.
Yeah.
The puck is dumped deep into the corner. Either he tries to skate it down and tries to forecheck, and he's so slow that he can't get there, or he almost like doesn't even make the effort. And the Capitals defenseman in the corner where we were sitting just comes back and unobstructed takes the puck. It has no problem. I don't have a problem with the Blake Wheeler signing. I don't. It was $800,000. It was 1 year. The risk reward was there. I get it. The reward was a lot higher than the risk. There was minimal risk, but if he's taking up ice time right now and he's not doing anything, what is the point of Blake Wheeler?
True.
And I understand he may be like, it seems. Now, we talked about this in the summer. There were some locker room issues in Winnipeg. He got stripped of the captaincy. Here, it seems from what I'm not in the locker room, but it seems like that doesn't exist. And the guy, he's good camaraderie with the guys in the locker room. But you're not bringing him here if he's for his leadership because he's an older player. Mm-hmm. What's the point of Zibanejad and Kreider and all these guys that have been around the league in a while? At what point do you cut the cord on the Blake Wheeler experiment? Now, maybe you're not doing it because you have injuries, right? And you don't really have anyone else. But if this team was healthy, like if Kakko was healthy and Filipino was healthy and they were in the starting 12 for the forwards, I'm not sure Blake Wheeler's in the lineup.
Yeah. Right?
So that's a question. So we'll put the last comment up. When Kakko comes back, that might be when we cut the cord on the experiment. Because it's not working. It's not doing anything. And if it was doing minimal stuff right now, I would be okay with it because teams are injured. He's a veteran guy. He's not costing a lot. But the dude is doing nothing.
Did we find out what's wrong with Kakko? Just lower
body. Long-term leg. Long-term. That's right. We were on the day after it happened. Long-term leg. They say that he avoided the worst-case scenario, but he'll probably be back at some point this season.
Avoided the worst-case scenario. He'll be out for a long time, though.
I would think, from what I can gather from stuff I've read, I would think you're seeing him sometime in March at a month before the playoffs. And the hope would be that he gets a month of games under his belt and can be in the playoff lineup. But maybe then, what is Blake Wheeler doing? I don't know. It's almost like, can I throw myself under the bus for a second and embarrass myself? Yeah. I don't know if I've ever said this to anyone. I used to play soccer growing up. Okay.
Well,
and I wasn't good by any means. I wasn't like you in lacrosse, all-time leading scorer in your high school. I used to play soccer, and it got to a point where, as I got older and other kids got better through the years, I just didn't, right? I was straight line. I was always who I was. Okay. And there would be times I remember, towards the end of my playing days, where I would, if the ball was loose and I had to run and get it, I didn't even want to try because I knew I wasn't going to get it, right? That's Blake Wheeler. Blake Wheeler is me. Puck's getting dumped in the corner and he doesn't do it. So we'll see. All right, another couple other questions that came in. We're going to try and group them together. We took the goalie one was the main one. Trade targets. early on. So I don't think at this point, and I know Chris is watching, and we consider Chris the general manager of the New York Rangers because he knows what he's doing. So I think when you asked that question on December 12th, I think if I'm going to answer it, I'm not really targeting certain players at this point. I'm looking at if what a certain need would be. Like, does the team have a glaring need at this point? And then who would be out there that would fill that need rather than going straight to pointing to a player? Because it's only December and things will change. Right now, to me, if there is a thing that the Rangers need, it would be definitely a right wing, right? You lost Kako. Wheeler is on the right wing. We know my thoughts on Wheeler. I mean, do you want to put VZ on the right wing and move him up? I mean, I would think the right wing is the target. I don't know if I'm not really sure who's out there on the right wing, but to answer your questions, I would think if I was Chris Drury and I was looking at trade to targets this early, which they probably are, general managers do this, this is their job. It probably would be that. The Johnny Brzezinski stat, can we pull that up? Someone just wrote in, and it's a great stat. Johnny Brzezinski's played in 7 games at 6 points. Wheeler has played in 26 games and has 6 points. And Johnny Brzezinski has only played in 7 games because he was called up from the minors. So here's a guy, he's not even that familiar with the league and is producing more. And he had a gorgeous power play goal the other night.
That's exactly what I was going to suggest. Like, we don't have like a stud who's kicking butt in like the minors that we want to bring up.
Well, that's where the Othman debate comes in. And So I was for it, and then I've read some things over the weekend that made me think that it's not the best fit right now. But if the Rangers want to go out and give Brennan Othman a chance, look, if you want to tell me I'm going to give Brennan Othman a chance because Blake Wheeler is doing absolutely nothing, sign me up.
Well, I mean, since Kako's out, do we get how many roster spots can we bring up from the minors?
Well, you already brought up Brzezinski.
All right.
So you don't have a lot of room.
Okay.
I mean, you can't if you're going to bring anyone up. So if you're going to bring up Othman or anyone really for that matter, you have to send either send someone down or scratch. They're not in the lineup. They're not going to do that right now. Brzezinski's playing well. Sean Monahan is a name, and Chris just brought it up that center that can shift to wing. I guess he would be a target to go back to the question. If a top 3 center goes down in the playoffs, they need depth. Yeah, I don't think Chris Drury, if he made a move right now, would shock the world, right? Because a lot has been going right. I understand the last week hasn't been like roses, but it's been a good season. I mean, come on. I mean, we're not going to sit here and complain. Last year we talked about, remember we had the panic button. Like, it's time to panic. Now we're sitting here, it's the polar opposite. So, I think he will look for right wing help if he does anything, or like Chris had mentioned, Sean Monahan, who can shift from center to wing, would be a good fit because there you have someone when you're talking about adding depth that can play both positions, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that they're going to be actively out there right now targeting anything. But when the trade deadline comes up, Chris Drury, and you know him well enough to know that he is going to make moves of some form at the trade deadline, whether they be minor or major. Probably not major. Like, minor moves that, when they got Frank Vetrano, you all Googled, who's Frank Vetrano? Oh, they got him from Florida. I've never heard of this guy. Now a lot of you are like, I want him back. So, he'll make some moves, and the hope is that they end up coming up and being as helpful and beneficial as someone like a Frank Vetrano was, or Andrew Copp.
How much room do we have to play with? Because like, how many people are allowed on the bench compared to how many people are playing right now? Like, you know what I mean? We got
12 forwards, 6 defensemen, and a backup goalie.
Yeah, and then like, all right, so
I shouldn't say backup goalie because people are going to take that as the wrong term these days. The goalie who's not playing that night.
All right, so like, we have 3 lines.
Yes.
And then you have 2 lines of defense.
You have 4 lines. 4 lines of 3. So 12 forwards and then 3 defensive pairs.
Yes.
So 12, 18, 19.
Yes.
And 20 the goalie.
And the top 3 lines get the majority of the play.
Correct.
So you have, 6 guys to play with, give or take.
Well, if you're only
we're winning and we're playing great, so we're not going to mess up what's going right.
Right now.
So what do we have to play with? Like the people who aren't playing.
Yeah, but right now if I was in the camp, and I'm not, but if I was in the camp where I said I want Brennan Othman to come up, right? Let's say I was that, the argument, the other side is that the team is playing so well right now, and they are. I understand they lost to Ottawa and Washington, but you don't go 82-0. I mean, it just doesn't happen. You're going to lose games. I think the counter argument is they're doing so well. Why even put someone in that situation right now? And I think I would think the logic as to why. It's a 23 roster max until playoffs. Chris says, as always, Chris would know these kinds of things. So yes, so you could, but to me, again, you want to get rid of Blake Wheeler. It's fine. I'll drive him to the airport, but I just don't.
You know what's funny?
What?
You're like, kids are gonna get his autograph like next week.
Probably. Well, we know that happened with
your
Zach
kids
Jones.
are gonna like take a picture with him next week.
Hey,
you're
kids!
You're gonna stand there and smile at him.
Kids, get in line. It's Blake Wheeler. You can be Blake Wheeler, guys. It happened. So what he's referring to, if you didn't listen to the episode a couple weeks ago, which was kind of ridiculous, we were on a Tuesday, and I said I can't. Zach Jones to me is not an NHL defenseman. He never has been. He never will be. Right? He's not. And so I said some things about Zach Jones that probably wouldn't be Christmas card worthy. Right? Okay. 6 hours later, literally 6 hours later, I take my kids and my wife. We go to a season ticket holder event. Now, they don't tell you what player is going to be there. They don't tell you how many. You know nothing. Literally nothing. That's the Rangers' MO, right? Who's in line that my kids take a picture with? Zach Jones, everybody. Zach Jones. There he is.
Yeah.
So
you're going to get a Blake Wheeler Christmas card.
I am. Yes, holiday card. That would be nice. All right. So last question I'm going to take. It's a non-Ranger question. It was, who are the top 3 teams? Who are the top 5 teams do you think in the league? And can you name 3 sleeper teams from around the league? So coincidentally, if you follow us on Instagram, we do post, and it was a little bit controversial yesterday for reasons I do not know why. We post power rankings every week on Monday. We do this as a collab. And what we came up with this week was the Rangers dropped from 1 to 2. People were upset with us. So we have Vegas is 1, Boston, New York is 2, the Rangers are 2, the Bruins is 3, the Kings is 4, and Winnipeg is 5. Winnipeg has gone up immensely. Those would be our top 5 teams. If you want a sleeper team out of those that are not in the top 5, I really like how Vancouver is playing. Quinn Hughes is not getting enough attention, and you're not hearing about Quinn Hughes only because we're on the East Coast. They would be a sleeper team to me. Dallas, I mean, I'm going to put them as a sleeper team because they're not in the top 5, but they could be in the top 5. They're very good. The Flyers is the other one that are on here. I don't look. John Tortorella has done a remarkable job with the Flyers, but they're not a sleeper team to me. I would say Vancouver, Toronto, and Dallas would be the 3 sleeper teams that are not in the top 5 to answer that question. But those power rankings change every Monday, so if you keep checking, we will do that. So, all right, so let's switch over real quickly to the NFL before we get out of here. Did you watch the Giant game last night?
I did.
You did?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Well, that must be why.
I didn't almost go. I was offered to go, but I just felt like, why?
And that's why you're tired, because you were watching the game.
That's why. It was a tiring game to watch, yeah.
Now you are a Giant fan. Let me ask you this question. You are watching the game last night. Okay. Are you actively rooting for them to win?
So like you don't want them to do dumb stuff on purpose. Like you don't want it to be terrible. But at the end of the game, I was like, great, we won. Now we have one less round of the draft. You know what I mean? Like we're right. one less pick down.
So when we got back from DC the other day on Sunday, which by the way, with the weather here Sunday was not really the greatest drive ever. I put the Jet game on because we got back at like 3. And my kids in the backseat had my phone. So I literally had no idea what was going on in any football game. Not that I cared enough anyway. And I saw they were winning. Was it like 30-6 or something? And I'm thinking to myself, like why? Why?
I don't know.
And if you're a fan,
maybe Chris, our man behind the keyboard, could help us out. Like if both teams win out, do they make the playoffs?
The Giants are. So here's where we're going. The Giants. This is going to get you excited. Now, Pat, who's filling in today, Pat, I want you to just make sure. Or Connor. I'm sorry, Connor. COVID will do that. All right, Connor, pay attention to him real quick because when I say this, I want you to understand that Doug may fall out of his seat because he's going to get excited.
Yeah.
The New York Giants. Are 1 game out of the playoffs.
No way.
Yep.
No way. When they have 4 more games left.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let's see now. Look, but you have two with the Eagles. So you have two with the
Yeah, but
Eagles.
we're not catching the Eagles, so it don't matter.
No. I'm not saying you're catching the Eagles. I'm saying it's just going to be hard to win. I mean, so the Giants schedule you have. This is. Let's see who they play. Okay, they play at the Saints this week. That is winnable. At the Eagles is losable on Christmas. Home versus the Rams is winnable. Yeah, they're not making the playoffs because you'd have to go.
But don't forget who's in front of them.
Yeah, but here's the problem. When you're a game behind that many teams, you probably have to go 4-0 to make it.
Who are the teams? Let's see.
In front of them?
Let's see.
You have a lot because it's the NFC playoff picture is a mess.
All right. So Cowboys and Eagles, they're making it. They both got 10 wins apiece.
Correct.
All right. The Rams. No, we're behind. We got to beat out the Lions, the Buccaneers. Yeah, we're behind the Buccaneers.
You're one game. Here's the problem. You're one game out of the playoffs, but there's also 4 teams that are ahead of you that are not in the playoffs. Rams, Seahawks, 5. Falcons, and Saints all are ahead of you.
And the Packers.
The Packers are in at 7. Remember, 7 make it. So right now, if the playoffs start today, the Packers are in the playoffs.
Why are the Packers in the playoffs?
Because they obviously own the tiebreaker at 6 and 7.
No, so we just beat them.
Yeah, but you're 5 and 8. You don't have the same record as them.
Yeah, but they still are. They're 6. Packers have 6 wins. Buccaneers have 6 wins. Falcons have 6 wins. Saints
you have 5
6 wins. Rams, Seahawks, they all have 6 wins.
Yeah, you have 5 wins.
Yeah.
So technically, the last team in the playoffs right now are the Packers at 6 and 7. You're 5 and 8. But I'm telling you,
Where are you saying that the Packers are in and everyone else is out?
I'm on the NFL.com standings. Packers are definitely in right now. They are in the last spot because they own the tiebreaker over the Rams. That is
okay. So my question is, yes, it sucks. We played the Eagles twice out of those last 4 games, but what are the other teams playing?
You're playing the Rams, who obviously are going to be fighting for the same thing,
right.
and the Saints are
winnable.
Saints are right. You're playing all 4 of your games remaining are versus teams that are better.
I don't know. The Eagles aren't playing that well right now.
No, they're not. I mean,
which tastes so good.
I watched that game Sunday night when I got home from my daughter's soccer game, and I was actively rooting for the Cowboys because I can't stand them.
So who? Oh yeah, dude. I was rooting. I don't like the Cowboys, but I was rooting for the Cowboys against the Eagles.
Okay.
All right. So in the hunt. All right, so the only people that have clinched the playoff spot are the 49ers.
Right.
That's the AFC. Here we go, NFC.
Speaking of the 49ers, if you look on DraftKings today and you look at who's the Super Bowl, who you can bet on to win the Super Bowl, the 49ers are plus 250. There is not another team until plus 610, and I think it's the Chiefs. Right now, it is so far and away favored towards the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, the Dolphins were plus 600. They weren't after last night, so yeah, it's a massive drop-off. So right now, Vegas has the 49ers as a massive favorite to win the Super Bowl. Speaking of Super Bowls and betting and all of those good things, remember to bet the action on ice with DraftKings Sportsbook. If you believe in the current Super Bowl favorite, like I just mentioned, the 49ers, you can take them at plus 250. Or if you want to be like Dougie Sticks and believe in the Giants, you could take them at plus 50,000 to win the Super Bowl. Tommy Cutlets coming all the way back to give you a massive payday at plus 50,000. Download the app now and use code THPN. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. That's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Bonus bets expire 68 hours after issuance. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problems gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly.
Oh, crap.
What?
The Falcons play the Panthers.
You're not making it.
So the Falcons are going to win that game.
Connor, we just got them excited for no reason.
The Buccaneers could the Packers could beat the Buccaneers, but we don't want the Packers to. So that right there screws us because either the Buccaneers or the Packers win, and we don't want neither of them to win. So there's that. We could easily beat the Saints. Who else do we have to worry about? Commanders are out, I think.
I mean,
and then if the Eagles beat the Seahawks, we want the Eagles to beat the Seahawks.
If you believe in like the storybook, because now like everybody is all about Tommy Cutlets, and all Tommy Cutlets is really doing is screwing up your draft pick. I'm just being honest with you. Like, but if you believe in that stuff in the storybook, go place a plus, $50,000 bet. Why not?
So it's plus 50,000.
Yeah.
To win the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
So $5 gives you $50,000. $1 gives you $50,000.
No, I don't think that's how it works. But it is plus 50,000 because I looked at it. It wasn't. That's what I thought. I was like, well, if I put $1 and win 50,
do it right now.
Look at this. He's gonna go bet a bet. All right. So weekly picks. Last week, we actually had a tie. We had 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. We had the Jets right plus 5.5 at home versus the Texans. They ended up killing and winning that game. And we had the Bengals plus 1 at home versus the Colts. We had the Lions minus 3 at the Bears. We had that wrong. And we had the Eagles plus 3 at Dallas. That didn't work out. We had a draw. Did you see this game the other day? We had the Raiders plus 3 at home versus Minnesota, and Minnesota won 3-0. Could you imagine going to that game and seeing a final score? And I believe it was like a field goal late in the fourth that won it. A 3-0 final. It is only the second time I've read. It is only the second time that has ever happened and been a score. And the last one was, I want to say it was 20-something years ago. I think it was when I was in college. So it was a long time ago. So
here we go. Super Bowl 2024. Giants. Where are you? 50,000. You are correct. If I put $1 down, it's $500.
Yeah.
So $5.
Right. It's because it's the
2,500.
Yeah, it's a decimal point, right?
Okay.
That's what it is.
$20 get you 10 grand.
You know,
be in it to win it.
You're the type. I was going to say you're the type of person that'll do it. You are the type.
Be in it to win it.
You are the type of person.
Got to be in it to win it, baby.
Yes, you're the type
Come on, G-Man.
If anybody's going to do it, it's you. But here are our Week 15 picks for Mind Your Pucking Business. I like the Cardinals plus 14 at home versus the 49ers. Yes, the 49ers are massive Super Bowl favorites right now, and everything is going right for them, but plus 14 is a lot. And those games historically have been close between those two teams in the same division, the NFC West. I'm taking the Cardinals with plus 14. I'm taking the Commanders plus 6.5 at the Rams. The Rams are so night and day. They really are. 1 week they're good, 1 week they're bad. Same thing with the Commanders. Commanders are due to have a decent game. Plus 6.5 seems like a lot to me in that matchup. Give me the Jaguars plus 3.5 at home versus the Ravens, coming off of a loss over the weekend in Cleveland. Jacksonville needs to respond. They've got playoff seating on the line. Plus 3.5 is a lot of points, a little bit of an extra 0.5 there beyond the field goal. Give me the Jaguars plus 3.5. The Eagles minus 3.5 Sunday night at Seattle. The Eagles really need to respond after a terrible showing in Dallas. And I think they do so next week up in Seattle. Actually, 2 losses in a row. The Eagles got to really get back on track. And lastly, I'm taking the Panthers plus 3 at home versus Atlanta. Atlanta should never be favored by 3 or more on the road ever. They don't deserve that. So I'm taking the Panthers plus 3. So to recap, Cardinals plus 14 at home versus the 49ers. Commanders plus 6.5 at the Rams. The Jaguars plus 3.5 at home versus the Ravens. The Eagles minus 3.5 at the Seahawks. And the Panthers plus 3 at home versus Atlanta. You good with that?
Yeah, I'm still scheming how we're going to get these
playoffs. Right. This is going to be... If you are in the undefeated corporate headquarters today and they need you to do something, do not bother Doug because he is scheming, looking at all these other teams' schedules and looking at scenarios and running them in his head.
I mean, look, we just got the Vikings and the Packers, and everyone else is 6-7, 6-7, 6-7, 6-7, 6-7. So if we win out, there's a chance.
You would have to go 4-0. If you went 4-0, what are you, 6-7? You'd be 10-7. You probably would make it. You can't go. You know what? The more I think about it, you can't go 3-1 because you have too many teams in front of you. You have to go 4-0. You have to beat the Eagles.
It depends on who they play. The Seahawks. Yeah, we need the Seahawks to lose. Like it doesn't matter if the Eagles win. So we need the Eagles to beat the Seahawks. That gets the Seahawks out of the picture.
Right.
I believe the Falcons play the Panthers, so that stinks this week.
Well, the Giants play the Saints this week, so you get the Saints out of the picture, and you get the Rams out of the picture yourself because you're playing them head to head.
Yeah,
you get this. Seattle's got to play
the Eagles.
The Eagles, so hopefully they lose there. Atlanta 6-7. Let's see.
They're playing the Panthers,
but who do they have the rest of the way? They have the key. Oh, God, their schedule's easy. They play the the Panthers, the Colts, the Bears, and the Saints. Yeah, but hold on a second. If the Packers lose one game, you would win the tiebreaker because you beat them head to head. So the Packers would have to lose.
We're fighting for 2 spots. The Vikings don't have it solidified at 7-6, and the Packers are in right now at 6-7. So there's 2 spots up for grabs.
I hate to break it to you, you're not making the playoffs.
There's 2 spots up for grabs. We're down one game.
You can think you're making the playoffs, and that's fine, but you're not making the playoffs.
What about the Jets side of things?
It's just I don't even.
They're 2 games. They're 2 games back.
They're 2 games back.
Yeah, so they have 5. They're at 5-8 right now, and everyone is at 7-6.
The Jets. Let's see. They are no. They're the 14th seed. They have to leapfrog way too many teams. They're not making it. And the Jets play. I know they play the Patriots. Oh, they play the Dolphins. They're not winning that game this week. They're not winning the Dolphins. They'll beat the Commanders. Maybe they probably won't beat the Browns either. And they play at the Patriots. They're not winning. No, done.
What is it?
No playoffs.
What's the bet for the Jets making it?
Probably.
How come the Jets are? They have more of a chance to win here. Yeah.
We should see. Well, that is a wrap for us. We thank you guys for listening. Try to get to as many of your questions as we could. Rangers tonight, home versus Toronto, an original 6 matchup at the Garden, and then home and home back to back this weekend. Home on Friday night versus Anaheim, who is improved. They are not as bad as they were last year, FYI. And then up in Boston for another original 6 Saturday night showdown, which would be a good time if you're up in the Boston area. Thank the Bamboozle Project as always in DraftKings. Go check out the bamboozleproject.com. Use promo code MYPB, and we will talk to you next week.
Go Giants.
Tommy Cutlets.